stop for a moment because what brought you here is far more significant than you may realize. Out of all the places your attention could have landed today, it arrived here at this exact message, at this exact time. That is not something to dismiss lightly. There are moments in life that appear ordinary on the surface, yet beneath them something deeper is quietly at work, guiding events together with a precision the logical mind rarely notices. This is one of those moments. The fact that you are reading these words right now is not simply chance. It's as though an invisible thread has been pulling you toward an awareness that was waiting for you to reach it. You may not fully understand why yet, but part of you already feels it. Perhaps it arrived as a strange sense of familiarity. Perhaps it appeared as a feeling you could not explain, a subtle shift in your chest, a quiet inner signal telling you that what you are hearing matters. If that feeling is present, trust it. It is the reason you stayed long enough to listen. This is not merely another video appearing in your feed. It is a message intended for those capable of recognizing what exists beneath the surface of everyday life. Before we continue, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. Do it not because it is expected, but because something within you may already understand that this conversation is only the beginning. There are messages that arrive once and disappear. Then there are messages that return again and again because they become part of a larger preparation. What you are about to hear may safeguard something important, long before you become aware that it needed protection at all. Most people move through life believing that one day is no different from another. They see the calendar as a sequence of labels, nothing more. One day follows the next, and the routine continues uninterrupted. Yet those who have developed a deeper awareness often discover that certain days carry a unique energetic quality. Thursday is one of those days. Beneath its ordinary appearance exists a subtle movement that many never notice. It functions like a hidden turning point, a quiet threshold where unseen forces begin rearranging themselves. While the outer world appears unchanged, something beneath the surface begins shifting. Energies start organizing. Possibilities begin positioning themselves. Circumstances that seem disconnected begin moving toward future alignment. For some people, this process supports the arrival of blessings that have been forming beyond their awareness. For others, those same possibilities begin dissolving before they ever become visible. The difference often comes down to something most people never consider: their internal state, their thoughts, their emotional reactions, their ability to remain connected to a higher awareness, instead of becoming consumed by temporary disturbances. What makes Thursday so significant is that it contains a brief energetic opening, a period that cannot be seen with the eyes yet can be sensed by those who are paying attention. Imagine a quiet current flowing beneath calm water. The surface appears unchanged, but underneath, movement has already begun. During this opening, your life starts adjusting itself in ways that remain invisible at first. New opportunities begin moving closer. Obstacles that once seemed permanent start weakening. Pathways gradually clear. Possibilities that appeared distant begin approaching from directions you never expected. Certain doors start unlocking long before you notice they have opened. Yet, there is an important truth that very few people are ever told. This process is remarkably sensitive. It does not respond well to emotional turbulence. It does not thrive within chaos. The moment a person becomes overwhelmed by negativity, consumed by resentment, trapped in fear, or pulled into doubt, the energetic harmony supporting these movements begins weakening. The change can happen with astonishing speed. What was moving toward them slows down. What was forming begins losing cohesion. What was aligning starts drifting out of reach. And because these changes occur on subtle levels first, most people never realize anything happened. They continue through the day believing everything remains the same. They never recognize that a different outcome had been possible. They never see the moment alignment shifted. That is why messages like this are not meant for everyone. Most individuals will pass through Thursday exactly as they pass through any other day, unaware of the invisible choices they are making through their emotional state. They will unknowingly interfere with possibilities that were already trying to reach them. But your presence here suggests something different. Somewhere within you, there has always been a knowing that life contains more than coincidence. You have experienced moments that could not easily be explained, times when you sensed an event before it occurred, times when an inner voice quietly revealed something that logic could not justify, times when you felt guided despite having no evidence to support what you knew. Those experiences were not meaningless. They were reminders that your connection to unseen guidance has always existed. Deep inside, you have long suspected that your path is not unfolding randomly. You have felt that something larger has been quietly influencing the direction of your life. That awareness is precisely why this message found you. You are not only being positioned to receive blessings, you are being prepared to recognize them, sustain them, and avoid disrupting them before they arrive. And now we reach the turning point of this message, because there is one factor capable of interfering with unexpected blessings on Thursday. It is not a lack of effort. It is not personal failure. It is not even the visible obstacles that seem to stand in your way. The true challenge exists within your own energetic condition. The instant you surrender to negativity, doubt, emotional instability, resentment, or inner disorder, you begin separating yourself from the frequency that was helping circumstances organize in your favor. The shift is immediate. The outer world may appear unchanged, yet internally the connection weakens. What had been moving closer starts retreating. What had been developing starts hesitating, not because those blessings were never intended for you, but because your state of being is no longer matching the alignment required to receive them. What makes this especially difficult to recognize is its silence. There is rarely an obvious warning. There is no dramatic collapse announcing itself. There is no visible sign informing you that something has changed. Instead, it appears through subtle outcomes. A conversation that never happens, an opportunity that slips away, a response that arrives too late, the doorway that almost opens but somehow remains closed. Most people label these experiences as coincidence. They call it timing. They convince themselves it simply was not meant to be. Yet somewhere within, a deeper part of them senses that something shifted before the result ever appeared. And as we move into what comes next, it becomes essential to understand exactly how to recognize that shift before it quietly changes the direction of everything. There is a reason certain disappointments linger in your memory long after everyone else has forgotten them. Somewhere inside you, beyond logic and beyond explanation, there exists a deeper awareness that recognizes when something was approaching your life and then suddenly vanished before it could fully arrive. Your mind may try to dismiss it, but your spirit does not. Your spirit feels the difference between a path that unfolds and a path that quietly disappears. It senses when possibilities shift direction. It notices when a timeline bends away from what could have been. And this is why Thursday carries such importance. More than any other day, it becomes a place where these invisible turning points occur. What makes it so challenging is that most people never realize they are standing inside one of those moments. They believe they are simply moving through another ordinary day, when, in reality, something much deeper is unfolding beneath the surface. Thursday presents a challenge, not the kind announced with clear rules or visible consequences, but a subtle, energetic examination that reveals the quality of your awareness. Most people fail this test without ever understanding that it was taking place. If you begin paying close attention, you may notice the signs. The day can suddenly present small disturbances that seem completely out of place. Minor frustrations emerge from nowhere. People become unexpectedly difficult. Situations arise that seem almost perfectly designed to provoke irritation, impatience, or emotional reaction. At first glance, these moments appear random. They look like ordinary inconveniences, yet beneath them exists a deeper purpose. These experiences function as distractions, subtle forces attempting to pull you away from your center. They challenge your ability to remain conscious instead of reacting automatically. They ask one question again and again. Will you remain aligned with your higher awareness, or will you surrender your energy to the first disturbance that appears in front of you? The answer determines far more than most people realize. The instant you react unconsciously, the moment frustration takes control, the moment resentment begins shaping your thoughts, your energetic state starts changing. The shift may seem small, but its effects extend much further than you can see. Your vibration lowers, your focus weakens. The connection between you and the flow that was supporting your blessings begins fading. This is where countless people unknowingly lose opportunities that were already moving toward them, not because those opportunities disappeared on their own, but because their internal state no longer matched what was being prepared for them. They become trapped inside complaints. They replay negative thoughts repeatedly. They analyze problems until those problems consume their entire attention. Without realizing it, they remain in that emotional space long enough for the energetic opening to pass. Then the window closes, momentum slows, alignment pauses, the movement that had been quietly unfolding stops advancing. Later they wonder why nothing changes. They question why progress feels delayed. They ask why life seems frozen in place despite all their efforts. Yet the truth is often much different. Life is not refusing to move. Life is waiting for them to return to the state that allows movement to continue, waiting for them to rise beyond the emotional patterns that disconnected them from their own alignment. This is the point where your journey begins, separating from the experience of those who remain unaware. Because now you understand something they do not. Awareness changes the entire equation. Once you recognize the pattern, you gain the ability to respond differently. Before every meaningful shift in life, there is usually a signal. It arrives quietly. It appears before circumstances visibly change. Those who are sensitive enough often feel it long before they see evidence of it. The sensation rarely arrives with certainty. It does not demand attention. Instead, it emerges as a subtle inner knowing, a gentle pulse of intuition suggesting that something is moving into place beyond the reach of your physical senses. On Thursday, that feeling often becomes stronger. The atmosphere itself can seem different, as though reality is preparing for a transition that has not yet revealed itself. It is almost like standing in a room moments before a storm arrives, when everything becomes unusually still and the air feels charged with possibility. During these moments, your awareness becomes more important than ever, because the choices you make determine whether you move toward that emerging reality or unknowingly step away from it. As energetic momentum increases, distractions also become stronger. This is one of the great paradoxes of alignment. The closer opportunities come, the greater the temptation to focus on things that do not truly matter. You may suddenly find yourself consumed by unnecessary worries. Conversations that serve no purpose may seem urgent. Situations that deserve little attention may begin demanding all of your focus. None of this is accidental. It is part of the challenge. The pull away from alignment often intensifies precisely when blessings are drawing near. Sometimes it appears as a disagreement that seems impossible to ignore. Sometimes it arrives as a wave of uncertainty that causes you to question everything you previously trusted. Sometimes it emerges as a sudden urge to abandon your confidence and overanalyze every detail of your life. Yet it is essential to remember that attention is one of the most valuable forms of energy you possess. Not every situation deserves access to it. Not every thought deserves your engagement. And on Thursday, especially, directing your focus toward the wrong thing can have consequences far greater than you imagine. There is also tremendous strength in restraint. Many people assume power is demonstrated through action, expression, or immediate response. Yet on this day, one of the greatest forms of power comes through what you choose not to do. Silence becomes a form of protection. It is not weakness. It is not avoidance. It is mastery. Every word carries energy. Every sentence releases a signal shaped by the emotional state from which it was spoken. During this energetic opening, those signals become amplified. Words spoken from anger, insecurity, fear, or frustration have a greater impact than usual because they reinforce the very frequencies capable of disrupting alignment. By contrast, choosing stillness allows you to conserve your energy rather than scattering it. When you resist the impulse to react immediately, you remain centered. You remain grounded. You maintain authority over your own frequency. And while you remain anchored, the unseen movements unfolding in your favor continue uninterrupted. Never underestimate the influence of a single thought during this period. Entire emotional realities can begin with one idea. A single doubt can spread through your inner world, the way a fracture spreads through glass. The real danger is not that difficult thoughts appear. Every human mind experiences them. The danger begins when those thoughts are welcomed, repeated, and fed with attention. The longer they remain, the stronger they become. Whatever receives your focus gains momentum. On Thursday, that process feels especially powerful. Fear expands when it is repeatedly entertained. Resistance strengthens when it becomes the center of your attention. Yet faith expands as well. Trust grows stronger when it is consciously chosen. Alignment deepens when you deliberately return your awareness to it. This is why self-observation becomes one of the most important skills you can practice. You must learn to watch your own mind carefully. recognizing which thoughts deserve to remain and which thoughts must be allowed to pass. Because what happens next depends entirely on what you choose to nurture within yourself. What remains hidden from most people is that Thursday does far more than reveal where your energy stands. It amplifies it. It magnifies whatever state you carry within you and accelerates its momentum. This is why some individuals experience remarkable breakthroughs while others feel as though nothing ever changes. The difference is rarely found in external circumstances. It is found in the quality of their alignment. When you move through Thursday with clarity, emotional balance, and conscious awareness, the flow of events begins responding in ways that feel almost effortless. Situations that once seemed blocked start loosening. Delays that appeared permanent begin dissolving. Possibilities that felt far away suddenly move closer, as though invisible distances are collapsing. You may notice conversations happening at the right moment, opportunities arriving with unusual timing, answers appearing without the struggle that once accompanied them. These experiences are often mistaken for luck, yet they are not random. They are the natural result of alignment becoming active. When your energy remains steady, the universe responds with greater speed. A clear frequency creates less resistance, and when resistance decreases, movement accelerates. For those who maintain that stability throughout Thursday, the results rarely arrive in tiny, gradual increments. They often appear with surprising intensity, as if everything that has been gathering behind the scenes suddenly decides to move at once. Yet this is also the moment when a different force begins making itself known. As alignment strengthens, resistance often emerges alongside it, not as a dramatic obstacle, not as an obvious attack. Instead, it arrives quietly, almost invisibly. It can feel like hesitation appearing without explanation, a subtle desire to pull back, a sudden temptation to second-guess yourself, an unexpected urge to retreat into familiar habits instead of continuing forward. This experience is deeply internal, which is why so many people misunderstand it. They assume the feeling means they should stop. They believe the uncertainty is a warning. In reality, it is often the final echo of older fears attempting to preserve the patterns that once defined them. Every doubt you carried in the past, every limitation you accepted as truth, every belief that taught you to stay small or remain cautious, these old energies do not disappear without resistance. When something new begins approaching your life, they often rise to the surface one last time. They present themselves as reasonable concerns, they disguise themselves as protection, they whisper that retreat is safer than growth, yet their true purpose is to keep you connected to what is familiar. If you unconsciously follow them even slightly, your alignment begins drifting. The movement may seem insignificant at first, but over time it creates distance between you and the very reality that was moving toward you. The key is not to fight these feelings. The key is to recognize them. Once you understand what they truly are, they lose much of their power. You begin seeing them not as truth, but as remnants of an older version of yourself, an illusion presenting itself as safety. And when you see through that illusion, you gain the ability to continue forward without abandoning your alignment. This is where faith becomes essential. Many people misunderstand faith. They imagine it as passive waiting. They imagine it as hoping something good might happen someday. But true faith is active. It is a choice repeated again and again. It is the decision to remain connected to what you know internally, even when external evidence appears incomplete. It is the willingness to trust the process before physical confirmation arrives. On Thursday, this quality becomes one of your greatest strengths. Faith acts like an anchor during moments when distractions attempt to carry you away. It steadies you when your thoughts begin wandering into uncertainty. It helps you remain centered when circumstances encourage you to react from fear instead of awareness. Most importantly, it allows you to stay connected to what is already approaching your life, even before you can see it. The stronger that faith becomes, the more stable your energy becomes. And stable energy is what creates the conditions necessary for blessings to fully arrive. Eventually, every Thursday reaches the decisive moment, a point where the energetic momentum of the day begins settling into its outcome. It is not always visible. There may be no dramatic event announcing its arrival. Yet beneath the surface, a threshold is crossed. By this stage, your alignment has either remained intact or it has fractured. The energy has either solidified into coherence or gradually slipped away. Once this moment passes, the opportunity for immediate adjustment fades. The energetic opening closes. What has been forming either anchors itself more deeply into your reality or withdraws back into unseen space. This is why awareness throughout the entire day matters so much. It is rarely one isolated action that determines the outcome. More often, it is the consistency of your emotional state, your thoughts, your reactions, and your choices from beginning to end. Alignment is built through continuity, and when the day reaches its conclusion, the cumulative effect of everything you maintain becomes visible, whether immediately or eventually. After Thursday passes, most people continue with their lives as if nothing significant occurred. They never pause to consider that an important alignment may have strengthened or weakened during the day. Yet, if you have been paying attention, you may notice something different. There is often an internal feeling that remains. If your awareness held steady and your energy stayed aligned, a subtle expansion emerges within you. It feels calm rather than dramatic, certain rather than emotional. You sense that something has shifted, even if you cannot yet explain what it is. There is a quiet confidence, a feeling that movement has begun somewhere beneath the surface. However, if your energy became fragmented through distraction, negativity, or emotional imbalance, a different sensation may remain. A lingering heaviness, an unanswered question, a subtle feeling that something important almost happened but never fully arrived. This is one of the least understood aspects of the process. The true impact is not always visible immediately. It exists in what has been initiated behind the scenes and in what has been silently delayed. One of the greatest misconceptions people carry is the belief that delay and loss are the same thing. They are not. When alignment weakens and a blessing fails to arrive after Thursday, it does not necessarily disappear. It pauses. It remains present in unseen space. It waits for the energetic conditions that allow it to enter your experience. To the human mind, this waiting period can feel like rejection. It can feel as though something valuable has been taken away. Yet often the reality is much different. What belongs to you remains connected to you. The challenge is that your energy must once again match the frequency of what is trying to arrive. This is where many people abandon trust. They confuse timing with absence. They mistake postponement for permanent loss. Yet it is important to remember that what is genuinely aligned with your soul cannot simply vanish. It can be delayed, it can be redirected, it can wait, but it cannot be permanently removed by temporary misalignment. Even if you stumble, even if you lose awareness for a time, even if you feel something slipped beyond your grasp, alignment itself is never gone forever. The moment awareness returns, the path toward it reopens. This is one of the hidden forms of grace built into your journey. The universe does not turn away from you because of a single mistake. It does not condemn you for one difficult day. Yet it does require your participation. It requires your awareness. It requires your willingness to consciously return to the state that supports flow. And when that return happens, you often feel it immediately. A gentle adjustment within, a quiet sense that something is settling back into place, a feeling of reconnecting with a rhythm larger than your own personal concerns. It is subtle, yet unmistakable. It is the experience of realignment, the experience of beginning again, not from the same level of understanding as before, but from a deeper place of wisdom earned through awareness. And this realization leads directly into a pattern that countless people experience again and again throughout their lives. For many people, the same story continues repeating without them ever understanding why. They move through Thursday, lose their center, experience delays, eventually regain clarity, and then find themselves caught in the exact same sequence again. Week after week, the pattern quietly recreates itself. The result is a frustrating experience where desired outcomes, always seen nearby, yet somehow remain beyond complete reach. They can sense potential. They can feel possibilities approaching. They can almost touch the changes they have been hoping for. Yet something always seems to happen before those possibilities fully materialize. The reason is not a lack of worthiness. It is not because blessings were never intended for them. The real issue is that the cycle remains unconscious, and anything that operates below awareness has the ability to repeat indefinitely. The only way to break free is to interrupt the pattern before it completes itself. That interruption begins with recognition. It begins in the exact moment you notice yourself drifting away from alignment, the moment you catch the shift before it gains momentum, the moment you realize that an old reaction is preparing to take control. Most people move automatically through these experiences. They react first and reflect later. They surrender their energy without noticing they have done so. But transformation begins when you choose a different response, not an impulsive response, not an emotional response, a conscious one, a deliberate one. Because the power of any pattern depends on its ability to remain unseen. Once awareness enters the equation, its influence begins weakening. The moment you observe the pattern while it is happening, you create space between yourself and the behavior that once controlled you. In that space, a new choice becomes possible. What many people fail to recognize is that you have already been developing the strength necessary for this shift. Even during periods when you felt uncertain, something within you was growing. Every challenge, every delay, every moment that required patience has been building an inner capacity that is stronger than you realize. It is the ability to maintain your energetic state regardless of what unfolds around you. It is the ability to remain grounded when circumstances attempt to pull you into emotional turbulence. And on Thursday, this becomes one of your most valuable gifts. Because the true challenge is not managing external events. You cannot control every person, every situation, or every unexpected disruption that appears. What you can master is your relationship to those experiences. You can choose whether they dictate your state or whether you remain anchored within yourself. This distinction changes everything. The moment you stop trying to control the outer world and begin strengthening your inner world, a different kind of power emerges. When chaos appears and you refuse to absorb it, you preserve your alignment. When negativity invites you into reaction and you remain centered instead, you strengthen your foundation. When uncertainty arises and you choose awareness rather than fear, you create stability. And stability is precisely what allows blessings to arrive and remain. What is meant for you requires a place strong enough to receive it. Opportunities, growth, abundance, and transformation need a steady foundation. Without that foundation, even positive outcomes can struggle to take root. This is why maintaining your state matters so deeply. Sometimes the experiences that arise on Thursday will feel surprisingly personal. They may seem to touch the exact areas where you feel most vulnerable. Old insecurities may resurface. Unresolved emotions may suddenly appear. Situations may emerge that seem perfectly designed to expose your weaknesses. In those moments, it can feel as though life is working against you. Yet a deeper truth exists beneath the discomfort. These experiences are not appearing to damage you. They are appearing to reveal you to yourself. They expose the places where your alignment remains fragile. They illuminate the emotional wounds that still influence your reactions. They reveal the areas where your energy can still be disrupted. While this can feel uncomfortable, it is actually an act of guidance, because you cannot strengthen what you refuse to see. Awareness always precedes transformation. The moment you clearly recognize where your vulnerabilities exist, you gain the ability to work with them consciously. You become less reactive, more intentional, more connected to your higher awareness, more capable of maintaining alignment even when challenged. Then there comes a pivotal moment, a moment that may seem insignificant on the surface but carries enormous energetic consequences. It is the instant when you feel the familiar urge to react and choose not to. The instant when negativity invites your participation and you decline. The instant when fear asks for your attention and you redirect yourself back toward awareness. This choice may appear small. No one else may even notice it happened. Yet internally, something profound shifts. Because this is the moment you stop being controlled by the pattern. This is the moment you step beyond the cycle that once dictated your experience. With a single conscious decision, you alter your direction. You begin moving toward a different energetic reality, one where blessings are no longer repeatedly delayed by unconscious reactions, one where your awareness becomes stronger than your conditioning, one where alignment begins stabilizing rather than constantly fluctuating. The significance of this shift cannot be overstated. Every act of conscious awareness strengthens your ability to hold your energy. Every time you choose observation instead of reaction, you reinforce a new foundation. Over time, this creates something powerful. Your alignment stops depending on external conditions. It no longer rises and falls with every challenge, every disagreement, or every emotional trigger. Instead, it develops roots. It becomes steady, consistent, reliable. What once felt fragile becomes strong. What once felt temporary becomes permanent. And when your alignment reaches this level of maturity, something remarkable happens. The blessings that once seemed distant begin arriving without the same resistance. Opportunities stop hovering just beyond reach. Momentum becomes easier to maintain. The internal barriers that previously pushed positive outcomes away gradually disappear. There is no longer a part of you unconsciously working against what you desire. The path becomes clearer because your energy has become coherent. This is the destination toward which you are being guided. This is the level of mastery that Thursday continually invites you to develop. And once that mastery begins taking root, the changes it creates ripple through every area of your life. As the final hours of Thursday approach, another important phase begins. There is an energetic threshold near the end of the day, a final crossing point that influences everything that follows. By this stage, your energy has already communicated its message. Every thought you chose to nourish, every reaction you embraced or released, every moment you remained aware or became distracted, all of it has contributed to the energetic imprint now forming. The unseen has been listening the entire time. The story of your alignment has already been written through your choices. This is why the closing hours matter so much. They are not a time for carelessness. They are a time for heightened intention. Whatever state you carry into these final moments leaves an impression that continues beyond the day itself. It becomes part of the energetic blueprint influencing what unfolds next. Following this threshold, many people experience something they do not fully understand. A stillness emerges, a period of quiet that can feel unusual if they are expecting immediate confirmation. There may be no dramatic sign, no obvious evidence, no sudden announcement that everything has changed. Instead, there is silence. Yet this silence should never be mistaken for emptiness. It is not absence, it is incubation. It is the sacred pause where unseen forces begin organizing themselves without interruption. It is the space in which possibilities gather shape before becoming visible. For those who misunderstand this phase, the temptation is to fill the silence with doubt. They begin questioning whether anything happened at all. They become impatient. They search for immediate proof. In doing so, they accidentally interfere with the very process that was unfolding in their favor. But those who understand the purpose of the silence respond differently. They allow it. They trust it. They remain grounded within it. They recognize that not every transformation announces itself immediately. Some of the most important shifts happen quietly, beneath the surface, before evidence appears in the physical world. And by honoring that stillness instead of resisting it, they create the perfect conditions for what has been forming to finally emerge into reality. When your alignment holds, when you pass through Thursday without falling into the traps set before you, your blessings rarely arrive in the way you expect. They come through unexpected doors, through conversations you didn't anticipate, through opportunities that seem almost coincidental, but they are not coincidence. They are the result of your maintained frequency, your sustained awareness. And because they arrive in ways you didn't plan, you must remain open. Because sometimes what you asked for does not look the way you imagined. But it carries exactly what you need. Even when blessings begin to arrive, there is one final trap that can still disrupt everything. Second-guessing. Questioning whether you deserve it. Doubting whether it is truly meant for you. Over-analyzing what should be received with trust. This is where many falter, even after maintaining alignment, because doubt, even at the final stage, can weaken what has already begun to form. You must understand this clearly. If it has reached you, it has already passed through every barrier. It is yours. Do not reject it with uncertainty. To fully receive what is meant for you, you must step into a new identity, one that matches the level of what is arriving. You cannot hold greater blessings while clinging to a smaller version of yourself. Thursday is not just about protecting your alignment. It is about preparing you to become the person who can sustain what comes next. This requires trust, confidence, and a willingness to release old patterns that no longer serve you, because what is coming towards you is not meant for who you were. It is meant for who you are becoming. At some point, a realization will settle into you, not as a thought, but as a knowing. You will understand that nothing about your life is random, that every delay, every test, every moment of alignment and misalignment has been shaping you for something greater. You will see Thursday not as just a day, but as a gateway, a recurring opportunity to step into alignment with your destiny. And once you see this clearly, you cannot unsee it. You begin to move differently, think differently, respond differently. You begin to live with awareness. Now you know you are no longer moving blindly through these cycles. You understand the importance of your energy, your awareness, your reactions. You see the traps before they fully form. You feel the shifts before they become visible. This is power, not control over the world, but mastery over yourself. And this kind of power changes everything, because once you can hold your alignment consistently, there is nothing left that can truly block what is meant for you. But do not forget this. Awareness is not something you achieve once and keep forever. It is something you maintain. Every Thursday will bring a new test, a new opportunity to either hold your alignment or lose it. And the warning remains the same. One moment of unconscious reaction can disrupt what has been building. This is not meant to create fear. It is meant to create focus, because now you know what is at stake. Now you understand the importance of staying present, staying aware, staying aligned. If you've made it this far, then understand this was never just content for you. This was alignment. This was a message that found you because something within you is ready to awaken, to rise, to step into a version of yourself that no longer moves unconsciously through life. You were meant to hear this. You were meant to feel this,